friendly viewers out there. Welcome to Let's Talk Real Estate. It is, well, you're watching this on Black Friday. We are recording this on Wednesday before Thanksgiving. So happy post-Thanksgiving to everybody. Hope you had a great time with your family. Ate some turkey or didn't eat some turkey, whatever your preference is. But if you're watching this and you haven't subscribed to us, make sure you do that on YouTube. Today, we're talking about over-engineering and what that can do, how it's beneficial, how it's bad, when to do it, when to not. Just a lot of aspects around processes and how they can be good and bad inside of a business and specifically related real estate business. But hey, let's start out. I'd like to give you guys a water update. So I went to Costco and now I'm drinking giant wine glasses of Pellegrino. I feel like I don't know, ridiculous as I sip these, and I'm like, people must think I'm literally drinking out of a wine glass. But I did get to try the coveted German mineral water. I don't have it with me; it's in the recycling bin. But I did find a glass bottle, and I do agree with Papa P. It is better than Pellegrino. It's like you still get that mineral taste, but it's not quite like as bitey as Pellegrino. It's good. I like it. It's very smooth.
It is good.
There we go.
It's probably the best.
I would agree.
So I feel in my attempt, how do I say this? To be as honest as possible, I feel that I need to make some retractments.
Oh God, about water?
About
or are you
water.
Switching topics? Okay.
Did you over-engineer your water analysis?
I might have over-engineered, or I might not have provided the proper data. Had I had a software like REI Ops Center, I could have purchased water data from all different types of scientific institutes who test water, put it all into REI Ops Center, and then been able to filter through and find out the different pH levels and acidity levels of water. I was unaware up until this time that companies like Pellegrino and Perrier have suboptimal pH levels to their water to where they're more acidic. And here I am drinking Pellegrinos daily. So the San Pellegrino pH balance was below 7, and some people are testing it around 5.3. So Pellegrinos are not ideal. You definitely want to be at 7, 7.5 would be better for your pH level of your water. I am extremely ashamed at my recommendations. I have also learned, and listen, and I have not further researched this, but a couple days ago, I was doing some research and I came across somebody saying that my coveted Topo Chicos, made by, I believe, PepsiCo, I think they're owned by PepsiCo, has Coca-Cola, has some stuff going on inside of it that could lead to cancer. So I'm not 100% certain. However, I had 8 Topo Chicos left in my fridge here in the office that, regardless of their cancer-causing elements, I am still going to finish drinking them. And then I'm going to stick solely with the Gerolsteiner water from Germany.
So that has the right
pH.
pH?
My go-to water. That, and then non-sparkling would be, you really want to stick with like a Fiji or an Evian, and then you have your man-made alkalized water like that. What is that? Can't think of that one. There's one that it promises like a pH of 9.5, but it's machine made. Did it? But natural spring water like Evian and Fiji are your best ones. And for spring water, I have not found any negative information about Gerolsteiner. I can't pronunciate that water. My family was huge in drinking these Pellegrinos. We were popping Pellies. That's what we called it, popping Pellies. We were popping Pellies nonstop, thinking we were drinking good water. And I think it's a crying shame that we can't get good water. Like, there's actually a water crisis. Not to mention, I was reading that the Mississippi has dried up, and people are walking out to the middle of the Mississippi in a drought going on. The Mississippi water levels have out towards Memphis and stuff have dried up so much there is now a beach in the Mississippi River. And it goes to what we talked about recently, where the Colorado River is drying up over on the West Coast and is causing issues in the water basins of the different lakes out there, right? Mead Lake and everything. and it's causing issues for the Hoover Dam and potentially issues for electricity and the water for all the southern states, the 7 or 8 states that get that water, the Colorado water basin, or river basin. But so yeah, I do worry about what we're gonna do for that.
That is interesting about the Mississippi. I don't even know where that comes from. I mean,
I don't
obviously,
know
like
where it
mountains and
is,
trickles
but
and-
I think it's going to come down to more man-made water, which ironic, I'm going to throw this out there. I had no plans on saying this and I have no data to back this up, but I read an article briefly that FDA just approved the first man-made lab meat.
Did they really?
FDA approved meat made in a lab. And that's what, and we've discussed this previously, John, where that's where we're going to go with things. And why Bill Gates owns part of Beyond Beef, which is meat, but plant meat. But this is meat made from animals, but in a lab somehow.
Not made from animals at all. They grow it as single cell.
Scientifically, yeah, but it's supposedly still meat. I don't know enough about. I need to research this fully. But that's what we're going to go into is man-made water and man-made meat. I need to dive deeper into this man-made meat scenario.
I'm influenced I was gonna say I'm influenced the complete opposite way of like natural meat is the best thing to eat, like natural stuff, and the cows doing their thing is good for emissions and things like that. I'm on a completely different track.
And I think that's where it needs to go. And I feel as if as a society we need to get back to the more basic stuff, but that's really hard in the dense populated areas that we have and the way society is trained. You know, I don't know. We could dive deeper into this, but I know that's not what this episode is about.
Yeah, I think
we can make a separate water and meat episode. John, write that down. Separate episode about water and meat. And maybe we want to relate this back to real estate, how we could buy commercial real estate that will house the scientific laboratories that will be doing and making of the meat. What type of industrial commercial space do we need to buy to be able to lease out on triple N leases? I know nothing about commercial real estate.
I think that whole industry, I think there's potential of it being over-engineered for certain agendas or
there's
things that we don't know.
There's so many problems with that.
Yeah. But John, I did notice you with the large Pelly bottles. I reserved comment, but I did notice that you were putting those down this week in meetings and stuff.
I got all excited. I haven't been to Costco in months, and we went for Thanksgiving shopping.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my God, look, it's $20 for all these giant Pellegrinos. Just put one in the fridge per day and I'll be fine. I mean, I drink normal filtered Berkey water as well. But yeah, now I don't know how to get my water because there's only one place that I know of to buy the German water, and it's at Trader Joe's, which I don't know if you guys have ever been to the Trader Joe's in Orlando. It's the worst parking lot on the planet.
Yeah,
and way far away from my house.
To get the good water. But here's the thing. I'll share this with you and all of our Florida and Southern State people. I was upset about it because there was a Publix who purchased it and had it for a while, and they stopped carrying it. And I said something to a lady at the register, and I've yet to do this. I've been meaning to go back to that Publix and do it. She says that if they had carried it and they don't carry it anymore. Yeah, as a corporate level. Like, so we know, so you could go to your Publix and say, can you order this for me? They will go order you cases of it if that's what you want. So I think that's what I'm going to do, because I do have to go to not a Trader Joe's, but a very similar health type of store or small niche store. And I buy about 15 of them every week or two because they restock. And I am all out. And I need to head back there
Publix will do that. We did that with bagels once. They stopped carrying these bagels my kids loved. And they're like, oh, we can just order them for you and just come in and buy them. I was like, what?
Love that customer experience.
I do have an announcement.
Announce away, sir.
And this is going to lead us directly into topic. So I want you to know it's a very apropos topic or announcement to make. Mm-hmm. I am officially announcing my release onto social media, where I will now become the thing I hate the most. I will be selling my training. I will be selling all of everything I do for my call center. If you want to run how to hire, how I pay, how I bonus, how I train, how I script, I will have how I QA, how to hire a QA, how to hire a shift supervisor, how to pay them, what the different pay rates are, what the different metrics are, everything from my hundreds of callers I have hired in my multiple of countries, my failures and my trainings. Not only that, but also my valuations and my sales. I am packaging it together and I am selling it. I am becoming the thing that I hate most in this world. And I feel like that's what I have to become in order to become the Brandon that I know I can become. And I
feel like
that
that's
sounds like a paradox, but it is true. That is what's going to happen.
I feel like that could be like your marketing play. Like, I don't want to do this.
I have to do it.
And this is not the type of thing that I enjoy. I don't know how to phrase that in a correct marketing stance.
I was reading the Psycho-Cybernetics book, and I was realizing maybe one of the things that's holding me back the most is not doing the things that I don't want to do, and I need to do the things I don't want to do. But more to the point, the reason why I'm doing it is, and it's about this topic today, which is how this topic came up, is I've been talking to some people, they've been talking to some people, and it frustrates me because some of these things that become so simple for me, I'm not good at a lot of things. But there are some things that I'm good at that make sense to me, and like the big picture of structuring and what metrics should be and all that, because I've done it for like 13 years. I was talking to one person and they don't have enough of a process for their cold callers and follow-up specialists, or aka lead managers. Everyone's got a different name for stuff. And this guy's doing 38 minutes of talk time in an 8-hour day, or 38 dials in an 8-hour day with 15 minutes of talk time, and getting paid. And don't quote me on this, I'm probably getting all these people mixed up, but I think this one was getting paid $7 an hour. Another one was getting paid $10 an hour, because again, he outsources these VAs from a VA company. And to me, it's mind-boggling. I've done that, and John knows I split tested that, where I've hired from different VA companies, and I have fired them, not because the VA companies were bad, I have nothing against them, but because I found I still had to do all the work. Although they train them the basics, I still need to train them. And to me, that common sense of, why am I going to be paying an ongoing nut or VIG to this person, a spread to somebody, to find somebody for me, when I still have to train them because we do daily training every day, weekly meets and training. If I still have to do that, why? And then I'm paying you to take your cut to pay them. I've had my own system, and it frustrates me to a point to where, like, and I was talking to this person, and it's like, why are you doing it this way? And it's not that they want to, it's just the way that everyone sells you. And so I don't want to sell you my services, right? I'm selling you my training. I want to sell you on a way to do it yourself. And then the other thing, guys, that has really gotten me is I've escaped the rat race, and not the rat race that everybody else talks about, right? And I was talking to our marketing person on our team, Alyssa. She's very smart at what she does. And she brought up this point, and she was like, you know, escaping the rat race in real estate, everyone relates to escaping a job, right? As a 9-to-5. But you know who we all forget about? Where I came from, my background, escaping the shitty rat race of what's called being a realtor. And right now, realtors are the only industry that you're professionally licensed, where less than 1% to 2% of you are actually doing business and making money. You got into this business to make money in real estate, but what you became was a cog in the wheel, and you became somebody that wasn't doing anything, because realtors don't get training. You don't get anything. You're not even taught how to spend money to make money. Realtors think that they're the only industry also where you shouldn't even spend money. The best realtors do. The best realtors do, because they've learned, they've escaped that matrix and have figured out how to do it. You don't get mentorships in a lot of these things. And granted, when I did it in 2010, 2011, all the way through to 2015, 16, 17, like, I don't remember what year I stopped. That's why I just said 3 years. Things have changed with social media, where you do get some mentorships and you do get better things. And Keller Williams is a phenomenal training, but let's be honest, what you train me on and what I do in practice, and have that ongoing mentor. So then you join a team, but then the team rapes you and they take all of your money, and you're on a 60-40 split. And then you do all this, and the one thing you're good at, real estate, you have no way to build wealth in, because no one teaches you that. And that's what frustrated me. And I was flipping while I was a realtor, and I escaped that race to where I was able to go full-time flipping, full-time wholesaling. And then a couple of years ago, I was helping my aunt sell a house out in California, and I referred out the listing to a phenomenal realtor. She is one of the best out there. And I researched her thoroughly, and she asked me what I did. And I told her how I stopped being a realtor and I wholesaled and flipped. And she understood flipping, but wholesaling, I spent 15, 20 minutes on the phone explaining how I do my business. And she got off the phone thanking me and saying that's what she wanted her and her husband to do. And she was going to start researching it because they felt like that freedom. So that's the other reason why I'm doing this, is because going into this down cycle, a lot of realtors are going to be out of business. And if they don't have another way of making money inside the real estate industry, they're going to have to go get jobs. And I feel like majority of them probably should. But I feel like out of the 99% that are going to have to go get jobs because they'll epically fail at this, I think there's a small portion of them that probably have what it takes to go do it. And here's the thing about realtors. They don't want an office. Majority of realtors don't want to have an inside sales team that they have to show up to every day. They don't want an in-staff call center. They don't want all of this stuff. They want the freedom. And that's what I wanted. And that's why I run my team virtually. So I figured, and Alyssa, my marketing person, figured, well, why not help them? So that is why I'm becoming the person I hate the most in the world. And I'm becoming somebody who sells a course, but I'm also doing it differently. I don't want to teach you how to do it. So you see, I'm doing some twists. I don't want to teach you how to do it. I want to teach you how to do it to teach your staff and how to train and run your staff to do it. Too many people sell courses, and I'm sure now everyone's going to race to their Kajabis and try to create a course on how to train employees and give employees training. That's what I'm pitching. Is not just, I don't want to teach you how to wholesale. I want to teach you how to teach your team to do the job so you have a wholesaling company. I want to provide you their training on how to value, their training on how to be cold callers, their training on how to use county record systems, how to use Investor Fuse, how to use Batch, how to use all these things. So that's my announcement, because I feel like too many people either over-engineer their systems or they don't engineer it enough. And when you do that, you're leaving money on the table. And in a good market, you get away with it.
Yeah.
But take it from this guy. Yeah. In a good market, you get away from it. But take it from this guy who has fallen on his face so many times that in a bad market or even a flat market, your mistakes get amplified and you will fail and run out of money. And I have run out of money enough times. I was putting my son to bed last night and we were talking about something. Oh, chess, because he plays chess and I beat him, obviously. He's getting better. And I was like, son, you didn't have a plan. And he goes, I did have a plan, Dad. It didn't work out. And I looked at him and I said, son, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. It's like, it's what you do after that. And I walked out the door and I started laughing because I was like, when it comes to real estate, I feel like I've had plans and I've been punched in the face so many times that and I felt like that related to this very apropos in a sense of like, if you want to learn from somebody, you should learn from somebody who's been punched in the face and also had a backup plan. So when they got punched in the face, they kept on moving forward instead of getting out of the industry. And that's what's going to happen in this bad market. So that's my announcement. These two didn't even know. I have told nobody about this except for my team. So next week I will be starting my first funnel where I'll be giving stuff away for free. And then from there, I'm going to see what I could do with it. And just like this podcast, you know, it's just going to be a platform to help people.
I love that. I love that. It reminds me of the Batman quote.
I'm not
Harvey Dent. You either die the hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. But
I need that on the wall.
Yeah, but I mean, it fits you perfectly. Lights. Like we know, we've talked off air many times. Like I think that is a place that you can really shine, have a ton of experience. We talked about a bad kind of rap for gurus and influencers, and everybody does that in this industry, but not everybody has the experience that you do, the vulnerability of saying, you know, losing money, getting punched in the face, stuff like that, and have a ton of good insight. So I'm stoked for that. The ego and the psycho-cybernetics aspect that goes in that is interesting. Typically,
I highly recommend this book.
Yeah, typically it's the inverse with ego, where it's like you don't want to be putting yourself out there in public or doing too much. But I think for you and, you know, probably all of us, it's almost like the inverse of like where we may be more reserved or like not putting ourselves out there due to ego. Like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do this.
Yeah, the inhibition of it, right? You have to have that disinhibition, and that's what the paragraph or the chapter I was reading about it, and I was really hitting home to me.
Mm-hmm.
And it is tough, man, because it's something you don't want to do. But it's like the other thing is, I also don't agree because I paid $2,500. I'm not going to name names. I've been buying a lot of courses this year. John knows. I've been wasting money. My wife's not happy about it. Just, we need money. And I'm over here just buying courses. I swear to God, I paid $2,500, and I've done seller finance before. I think I have done like in 13 years. I've done 2 seller finance deals max, all but myself. And I was like, I want to scale this. So I paid $2,500 for a seller finance course. And I swear to God, I logged on for 6 weeks of fucking calls. And all I did was listen to this guy talk about himself and how awesome he is. He didn't teach anything, and it was amazing. I have all of them. Like, I screen recorded all of them because I thought I was going to get value and I was going to rewatch them. And every night I was pissed off. I was like, this guy is telling more stories about himself than he is about how to do this. Like, we literally wasted 4 hours a night. Funny story. At the very end, one of the
4 hours a night? Good God.
Dude, it was horrible. It started at 6:30, and I'd be laying on the couch with my wife at like 8:30, 9:30 at night. So 3 hours. I'm sorry, 3 hours going. It was supposed to be a 1 hour course. And honestly, 1 hour for 6 weeks makes sense. 2 days a week for 6 weeks, you could crush it. But he wouldn't. He didn't talk about anything. So at the very end, somebody with honest intent is like, hey, he's like, I really appreciate you, but do you think, because it's really hard to understand this, that we could do some like example problems and you could use the whiteboard and we could go through how to structure it? He said no. He said, I don't do that on here. He goes, that's
and
what
you paid $2,500 for that?
If you have questions, you can ask me on my Facebook page, but I don't do that on here. He's a fucking joke. And I'm not saying he doesn't know what he's doing. What I'm saying is he needs to learn how to become a teacher. Yeah, to become a teacher. He's obviously knows his shit. But he does this every month, and $2,500 a pop. There's probably 10, 15 people in my class. So he's making somewhere between 25 and 40 grand a month. And he's been doing it for the last like 4 or 5 months that I've been watching him online. And I was like, I'll do this. Like, maybe I'll get something. He even gave like a seller finance matrix, but bro, it was hard coded. It was just him with one example hard coded in, and he gave you like a screenshot of it. I'm like, you couldn't pay the $50 fucking for somebody on fucking Fiverr or Upwork to just create an actual one where I could punch in the dollar amount. I paid you $2,500 and you couldn't even take the time to create a real material for your course. And so that bothers me. And so I decided, like, I'm going to do daily and weekly trainings. And it's like, I already do it for my own. I literally pay my team to show up to my trainings. And I was like, well, that just seems like that's reverse logic. Like, why would I do that? Like, I feel like people should pay me for my training. And so after doing that for a while, I was like, so if I'm doing it daily for my team, why couldn't I do it daily for other people's teams? Again, I don't want to train you. I want to train your team.
I love that.
I'm excited.
I love that.
I mean,
yeah, everything happens for a reason. So, I mean, you probably took this course was probably like the last straw. It's kind of reminded me of the first few episodes of LTRE where we're talking about like how to find a good mentor and stuff. So, I don't know if we want to wrap on it now, but I'm curious, like, what made you pull the trigger on buying this guy's course? But also, it's like the day and age that we're in. Like Brent Daniels and Pace Morby, all those guys that have huge coaching businesses, huge following, just talk about giving away so much stuff for free, doing live trainings all the time. Like they're gonna absolutely, people that go that model, which it looks like you're doing, at least starting off for sure, which is gonna be awesome. Is just getting so much of the market and like
I'm just
giving people
give it all away.
Result. Yeah.
So we're gonna give it all away for free on YouTube. I'm basically just gonna run through everything. But if you want the actual training to do it, so my whole thing is I'll sell you the Kajabi course, right? And when no one doesn't, John knows because I rapped to him about this a while ago. I don't know if he remembers. I couldn't wrap my head around how to give the training to your team because I buy a Kajabi course and then I got to share that user login with 20 fucking people. And when I fire them, I got to change it. And then everyone's doing the same course. So instead I found a way where you'll get the Kajabi and then you have to have another platform. And then I'll clone all of my training programs and videos and scripts and everything. And I'll give you your own permanent, you can have it for life. And then you could create all your users on your own. It's called an LMS system. Nobody actually utilizes it properly. So I have that. And so I'll be given that. But Carlos, I bought his system, and it's funny. I don't know if you remember, you made a joke when I told you this problem earlier. You said you get what you pay for. and because it was $2,500. And I said, that was why. I said, I believed Pace's lie, and I love Pace, but he made a post that said his sub-2 seller finance, like creative finance course was sold out. So I was like, I told him, well, I can't do his. And even though that's expensive, well worth the value for him. I was like, okay, the only other person I follow that does this is this, and it's cheap. I was like, how bad could it be? How bad could it be? And it was fucking horrible. And again, not that he doesn't do it, not that he doesn't know his stuff. And at one point in the training, no shit, he made us watch. No fucking shit. He made us watch on a screen record of a cell phone video recording of a dude cell phone video recording him at like a 45-minute appointment, right? Of him talking to a seller. He put that up on his screen and did a screen share and made us watch it, which ironically was 5 minutes after the other guy at the end asked if he could do example problems to walk us through. He said no, but instead it's like when you were kids and they'd wheel that big TV in because the teacher had nothing else to teach you, right? They'd wheel that big TV in with a VCR, they'd plug it in, they'd put some shitty movie on because it's like the holidays and you have nothing else to do for the next 2 days. No, and if you're not our age, you have no idea what I'm talking about. But back in the 90s, that's what you did.
Yeah.
And that's what it was. So instead, he made us watch this fucking video, and you couldn't even hear him because it's a cell phone. The people didn't know they were being recorded. So I'm imagining it's a guy like this walking around filming him while he talks to this guy and this guy and the wife. And I'm like, this is what I fucking paid for.
Yeah.
But again, I will say this, all joking aside, that is what really put me over the edge when I was like, I could do better than this. I don't have it in front of me, but there is 3 tips that I got. You know how I always say you don't read a book for the book to teach you everything you know. You read a book for that one sentence. And there are about 3 things I wrote down. I have like 1 page of just 3 things of topics that I did not know, that I did learn from listening to him. So in the end, was it worth $2,500? Yes. If I would do it again, would I know? I would probably just go talk to Pace and be like, bro, is it really closed? And Carlos says it's not really closed, that people are still signing up. And maybe I just bought the, Grant Cardone says seller be sold. I was sold on his urgency pitch of limitations and scarcity. And I believed it.
I don't know if that's the case for any fact checkers on the live stream right now.
I don't
know. It seems like there's a ton of people in there.
It seems like it, but when I was going to sign up, I was picking my courses and I did the Novation course and all that, and anyway. But anyway, man, it's all about the listening to people and their problems. I feel like there's a lot that my program does that's different, and I'm not trying to sell programs per se. I'm not trying to teach a newbie how to wholesale. I just want to give you the systems and the processes and how to hire the virtual team that you deserve to have, and how to manage them, how to pay them, how I do it at least, and give you the materials that I have. And I mean, I have like 100 and some page guidebook on how to value. I used to value for banks. I wrote a manual for a bank back during the recession. I mean, and I was like, why am I not sharing all this information? And then it's like the KPIs to track, which is where we go here. Like, what's your process for talking to sales? So like, I know a person who over engineers the shit out of everything that they do. And it's like the calculator just to make an offer is like a 4 Excel sheet calculator with about 20 or 30 different data points that you have to punch in. And it's like, even for me looking at it, it's very, because I tried using it one time when making offers, and I was so sidetracked by this calculator, the way we do it, where we're making live offer pitches, it is very hard to use that calculator. And for me, I'd rather teach my team how to value like a regular real estate investor. I mean, and over engineering a process to a point can be detrimental to your team. And that's where we're getting into the topic, is there's a fine line, I feel, between having zero process and zero sales process, zero marketing systems, zero sales systems, lead process systems, and then having one that has 30 different data points or has so many different steps involved in it that it becomes difficult for even your VAs to follow. And then really, and this isn't a part of the topic, but really what value are you giving your VAs? Like I always tell my team, if anything ever happens and you no longer work for me, I want you to take one thing from working within this organization, that I'm giving you a skill. I'm teaching you real estate. I'm teaching you how to be knowledgeable at real estate terms, valuations, these things. So you could take that skill and go. And isn't that what we're supposed to do as employers? But when you over-engineer your thing and over-process it to where you want to create robots, and you expect, and that's the pitch, right? For the last year or so, there's been pitches about processes and create the McDonald's person that just comes in and can punch a button. And that's fine. But even robots have, and we talked about this the other day, right? Even robots have deep learning mechanisms and AI learning mechanisms where they start to think for themselves, and you need to give them that capability.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's an interesting. I think you're right. You kind of nailed it on the head that it's something kind of recent that, you know, if you look at the span of wholesaling and what, you know, the type of customers we deal with and the type of person you are, like, there's been this like phase of like figuring out how to make it happen. And I think we're in another phase of that right now with creative finance and innovations and stuff like that. And, you know, we'll see that kind of stuff work itself out. But now it's like, okay, we understand how does it work? Now it's like, how do you plug a team in? How do you scale? How do you grow? How do you make it consistent? And there's like this giant like gap between no processing, like zero, and then too many.
Much.
Yeah. And I don't quite know where the sweet spot is. And it probably is hard to, if you look at documentation, to say, oh, you're not too far this way, or you're not too far this way. You're like right in the sweet spot. I think you're right. I think it comes down to the interactions between the employees and the process. If you have somebody get on the phone and on the sales call, get so scared because the seller said something and they can't find it in the process, that they're just so used to being they're just being so used to being a robot, following the process, going through it, that when something happens outside of that they can't respond in an intelligent way, then you failed. Then you're over here, because they need to be able to take what you have created for them and, you know, almost like adopt that, like you said, as an operating system, but then be able to build on top of it. It should be like guidelines for how you interact with the seller.
That's the thing. Is John, I'm with what you're saying, but what the people need to understand is the difference is where this all came from. And this is what I love about it, is because I think real estate people think they're a business, but they're not. But we want to be the big business. We want to act like we're corporations. There is no corporation that other than Elon Musk's Gigafactory, right? Obviously, you don't need humans for that, other than you need humans to work on the robots, right? But the point is this got a bad rap. Too many people came into this and think that processes eliminate leadership and management in a full hierarchy of structure, right? So instead, they want to create robots. Okay, you're going to make the underwriting offer. You're going to ask this question, this question, this question, this question. You're going to list in my CRM these 10 things in all these different fields. Then you're going to go over and complete this fucking Excel sheet with an offer calculator. Go find me all these comps. I saw the one calculator you had to go to Redfin, Zillow, you had to go to realtor.com, you had to go on a batch and prop stream and Propelio. You had to get all of those numbers, punch it into a sheet, average it together, compare that to the 3 comps that you found, average that together, found out which one of those, and then did the average of that. And it's like, just teach the motherfucker how to value. Like, holy shit, he's going to be spending more time going on all these fucking websites. By that time, you could give him my fucking course or anybody's course and just say, go to real estate school. You can get your real estate license in America faster than you could learn how to do that damn offer calculator. But what I'm getting at is the thing is too many people think that by doing that, that's the freedom that they're looking for. If I create a process enough where it's a robot comes in and can fill all these fields out and do this, I can go on vacation. We're thinking wrong. The process is not to have robots. The process is to create leaders and have the proper management hierarchy to where you allow the freedom for your employees to learn, to climb in your structure, where you get to step out because you have leadership, because you have departments and management, not because I have a lead manager, a follow-up specialist, an acquisition rep, and then an underwriter, and I have 2 call centers, and all I do is I manage all of them, and they just operate down an assembly line all the way through. And I have a VA guy I hired from VAs R Us, and they create the data that does the RVMs and the SMS, and I have 2 SMSers, and I manage it all, and everyone's good, and they just have their tasks they do every day. That's not a business.
Right.
That's not a business. Right? So, and that's my problem, is I feel like that's where you over-engineer something, and one, it's impossible for that person to manage that many different functions properly to ensure success.
Mm-hmm.
So
that was I was gonna say that's the synopsis of the whole episode right there, what you said, where it's like putting the emphasis on that instead of the actual like training them to be human. It's like, if real estate investors were like Tony Stark, Iron Man, like where he's in the basement and was just like an absolute genius and could build all these things, that's almost how people are building. Some people, then over-engineering types, are building how they run their business. They're building it like that, like they're Tony Stark, Iron Man.
Yeah.
And what did we find out? That the Tony Stark Iron Man can't beat Xanos. He's got to have everybody. He's got to have leaders.
Bringing it full circle.
Wow. Sure.
But that's true though, right? Is like, you do have to have that. You have to have everybody who does it, I guess. I don't know. I think the whole thing is, when I see people over engineer it, I think they're trying to buy into the sales item of processes without understanding that you have to create. I see too many people in this industry not trying to create and trying to copy. They want the freedom. They're just copying everything. And that's the difference, is like, you got to create staff, a management level, and then you also have to create a career path for them, right? And that's the thing, is like, over the time, we have promoted so many people to shift supervisor, or to a different department, or to follow-up specialist, or from there to closer, and then back again. People have found out they don't like that role and they want to go back to their other role, but it gives them choices. And what that does is that gives you the freedom, because now you have people making decisions.
Right.
And that's how you only put in a couple hours a week, not because you have a bunch of staff managed by one person, but you have a few staff with some managers managing them, and you get better output, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, that's the thing too, is like, if I tried to manage cold callers, salespeople, marketing people, right? Lead managers, aka follow-up specialists, and I try to manage that whole thing, the problem is none of them are actually managed.
Mm-hmm.
None of them are getting daily training, right? And whether it's by me or a trainer that you hire, right? Which you know I've been working on recently, is creating a whole training program inside my company of how to like onboard and train people in classes. And it's like, if you don't provide that, do you even have a company? Right? An assembly line isn't a business. An assembly line is one piece of a business.
Yeah.
An assembly line is a line item in a warehouse that's a part of an overall business or corporation. So,
you know, and I think too, like we were talking about it before, like not only is that like the process, like, can you over engineer a process, and it has problems in terms of the employees itself, but it doesn't always blend with the right phase of the business or the right need that the business has. Like you were talking earlier about, the change that we're in, and real estate agents in an up market versus a down market or a flat market. And we're definitely noticing that as well too. Like now that things are in a flat market or a down market, and people react differently to their processes and their systems, and they're like, oh, everything's not hunky-dory, the world isn't all green grass and flowers, like I got to find the problems, I got to solve the problems. And it's like they have a process for the ideal scenario, and they're trying to be over here in the non-ideal scenario, and they're like, I'm still trying to hold on to this and try to work it over here, and it doesn't work. And it's like, you have to have different phases to be able to say, and like this is something like I know personally, like your team is really good at, Brandon, because you have daily trainings, because you have that management style in your hierarchy. You're able to say, all right, guys, listen, we're not only are we, trying to keep up with all the new leads that are coming in, but it is incredibly important for us to go and attempt to dial way more and contact way more people and have more conversations. And in order to do that, you have to speed up your ability to do that, to dial, to have conversations, which, like, if somebody's got a giant process for that, it's impossible for them to do that. They're not able to switch the dynamic of the team to fit a new need, to fit a new purpose, because those people are in this process. And if you take them out of that and say, all right, we're just going to completely ignore everything over here, and now I just want you guys to dial and have conversations, they'll be like, well, what am I supposed to say?
Exactly.
Where do I input the information? Like, what? I'm used to all this over here. Like, now what do I do? Where you're able to like say, hey guys, like we're going to pivot over here, just have as many conversations as possible. And people feel confident in being able to have those conversations because you've given them like a groundwork of just be a great person on the phone, build rapport.
It's like a stop sign.
In your CRM. Yeah.
It's like a stop sign. I have a stop sign in my neighborhood that shouldn't be there. I was trying to explain to my son the other day as we're driving, because his mom lives a street over or so. So I was taking him over there, and I blew this stop sign. You want to know why? Because it doesn't belong there. It just doesn't. It's there's only one other way, and there's never a car there. And he's like, Dad, you ran a stop sign. I said, yes, son. I was like, that stop sign doesn't really matter. And I'm trying to find a way to explain this to like a 7, soon to be 8-year-old, like how you explain that I broke the law, but there's a spirit to the law, right? There's a spirit to it. You're meant to stop. So oncoming traffic, you don't have an accident. This person stops, you stop, they stop, you figure out, and I still don't know who goes first. Whoever might, who goes first. And then one person goes, the other person, and so on, and it's orderly. But when there's nobody there because there's only like 20 houses in this street or whatever, and if they're not driving on it, there's nobody there. Why am I stopping at it at 5 o'clock in the morning when I'm dropping it off at his mom's before I come into work? Like, there's nobody on the road. You don't need to stop there. And any person who has his own self-correction mechanism and like judgment mechanism, right, can make that decision. That's the same thing. Now, if I was a law-abiding citizen who refused to step out of the lines of the law and cross over into a gray area because things are black and white, then I wouldn't do that. I would stop there at 5 a.m., at 2 a.m. I'd stop there at rush hour at 5 p.m. It doesn't matter to me because the law is a law. And that's the difference with processes when you teach your employees. If you give them the law and say there is no other way for you to do other than follow the letter of the law or you're fired, or you will succeed or won't succeed if you do or don't do this, well, that's not really how the world works. I always tell my daughter and my kids, like, the world operates in a gray area. You have to understand that gray area, become very comfortable in it. So it's like, John, if I tell you this, and then as a seller, I tell you, well, I got to go to the hospital and this, and you don't have, because that's not in your script, you don't have the skill to be able to empathize with them, change your tone, and start talking to them more on a human level instead of going, wait, that is not my script. And instead, so ma'am, I would assume then that you're not looking for speed. You're more looking for price, or are you still looking for convenience? And the lady's like, the fuck? That's not what I'm talking about right now. And so you need to train that person that they can go outside and stop following the script. And I know a lot of companies do that, but I think they still stop at a certain level. They give them a few rights to build rapport outside the script, but they don't really teach them how to have a conversation. And I think that's a huge thing that you need to do. And it's not just, I know I'm focusing on sales, but it also comes down to data. Like, I gave my marketing person certain rules on data, and she was abiding by them. And I was trying to explain, like, there's flexibility in the data. Like, it's not like, well, Brandon, you said not to buy anything after that was built after 2000 for wholesale data. And I go, well, yeah, but if it's a foreclosure, it doesn't matter if it's built in 2010 because the pain is high. And I'm trying to explain why it's okay to break our data rules, like the law that we have for what data fields to put in or metrics. And until you explain that to them, and then they question it every time they do it. Brandon, if I'm doing bankruptcies, is that okay not to have age on the year built of the home? And I'm like, and so instead of saying yes or no, it's, well, tell me why. Why would that be okay or not okay? Right? Like,
Gotta walk them
and that's
through
the
it.
thing. You got to walk them through the stop sign example. Like, you have to explain. Don't just say, son, stop signs don't matter. Explain to your son or my son, like, why I didn't stop at that stop sign. Context to the situation. And too many people over-engineer it and give it to their VAs because they don't treat their VAs like people. And they say, and they all love and they brag about their VAs and they hand them these fucking flow charts. Fucking flow charts. I have flow charts, but they're there basically. I don't hand it and say, follow this motherfucking flow chart.
100%.
I love it. I think in short, it's like the benefit of having almost like a process or a system in place for qualitative time for your team to learn, ironically, almost like how AI learns, except just human to human, instead of lucid charting and process mapping your people to death and just plugging them in.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like, how are they going to, it's got to be ongoing, man. It's got to be ongoing too. You need to constantly recheck their service. So we use that example, or I did, about robots, right? Like, even have a robot, eventually that robot needs service, right? Robots operate good the day off the assembly line, right? But then eventually they need to be lubed up, oiled up. They need microchips fried, you know. They need to retool them.
Software updates.
And that's and you do daily checks, right? Diagnostic checks, just like in your car. You have your dashboard, you know, where it's constantly little red. You know, my tires are always fucking red lighting it up, you know, and it's like, oh, something's wrong. But that's daily checks, and too many people don't do that, or they do it, but they do it half-assed. So here's the other thing, John. End of the day reports. People look at this end of the day report like it's all they have to do. Think, oh, I check with my people every day. We have a Slack chat, and I get end of the day reports, and I'm like,
stand up.
Is that all you do?
Yeah.
Do you not meet your managers once or twice a week, beginning of the week, end of the week? Do you not call them randomly and with them? Or are you so about this process that you feel like once you institute it, you're checked out? You know how many people I've hired that have told me that? Like their previous boss?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
yeah, they just like live in the process. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we did that here for years, I would say. Like, you know, especially our support team at the beginning of our company, we would just, all right, here's how we expect you to behave. Here's like documentation. Here's all the answers you need to do. Here's the KPIs we hold you to. Have a great time. And like nobody would have one-on-ones with them. Nobody independently looked into the conversations. And, you know, ultimately what we ended up with is this a scenario where we didn't have the greatest support that we wanted or the experience we needed. And it took us implementing one-on-ones, implementing daily, like our support team has daily huddles to talk about specific issues and problems that they all need to be aware of and all are working on together. And through that, and it's really just human contact and just
building a company.
Yeah, building a company. We now have like one of the best. People come back to our product because they go try something else and they're like, you know, some things were nice over there, but honestly, like their support team was just the worst. Like I love what you guys are able to do, how your people respond to me, how they keep me up to date. And it took us building a business to do that, not building robots.
Hopefully RAI App Center is a good support team because it's just going to be me and John initially. So be gentle with us. But we won't need support. They're going to love the product so much. But no, I'm with you on that, John. It's like it's the basic stuff, and then your employees are happier. But it's just tough because ask me how I know, right? It's like I've made that mistake. I have hired cold callers like that, salespeople like that, marketing. I've hired almost every. I mean, I can name it where I just give them all my like. Here you go.
Have a great time,
good luck, guy. I'll see you later, and I'll give me that end of the day report. Yeah. And then you have the complete opposite. And I used to be like this too. So the complete opposite is, okay, listen, I'm hiring you to do this. Here's your job description and here are your logins. Go figure it out. I'll check in with you later. And the opposite was as I would meet with them constantly, as I'd be like checking in with them. They'd ask me, I'd tell them what to do, So without the process, they have no guidance. And then I meet with them more than when I give them the process, but they're not doing anything the same. Nothing's ever similar or this. And then I'm constantly teaching, constantly telling, and they're not learning. And it's the exact opposite. And so there's two opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
You got to find that middle ground where you give them guides.
Gotta find that middle.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta find that middle ground, man. I don't know.
I love it. Go ahead.
No, man. Go for it.
I was to say I love it. I mean, I think we pointed out a lot here. And I think everybody that listens to this episode is going to agree with us. And then the next question they're asked is, Brandon, how do I get your processes? And then how do I learn to manage through those processes? So what are people that listen to this episode? I know you haven't released anything, but you're on your path there.
Just go follow me on Instagram at at Mr. Reelevative. I almost said .com.
At Mr. Reelevative on Instagram. And that's how you will be able to.
Reelevative. Yeah. I mean, I'll post stuff on there, and obviously we'll be giving stuff away and then trying to see if anyone needs this. And if not, no big deal. I'll keep it all for my business. That's 100% okay. And that's the difference is I built it for my business first. I didn't build a course to sell the course. I built this for me. And it's like at this point, it's kind of like, okay, well, let's do something else with it. But yeah, I think people need stuff, man. It goes with the IF3 thing too. Like, InvestorFuse has a lot of phenomenal things that are good for it, and there's a lot of stuff that it doesn't do, just like any software. And too many people want something to be a lot of everything. They want it to be everything that they need, and they never utilize their softwares right. I think I am blessed to a point to where I enjoy learning a software and how to use it in my business, but I don't use all of InvestorFuse. I don't even use all of my iPhone. Like I really don't use half of these apps on here. I downloaded apps years ago and I still don't use them. So it's like teaching people how to use the software properly, I think, is a huge thing. And I think InvestorFuse is one of those too. And the REI Ops Center is going to need it as well. I think any software needs that. And I think people want too much out of certain things because they come from another software or they come from Podio or something like Salesforce. And they're like, I want it to do this, this, and this. I'm like, or
they've made this great flow chart and they just want one piece of software to do the great flow chart.
And you know what I say to that? Go start your own software company, bro. Go spend $250,000 on a software and you will get that. Like when we talked to, who was it? Eric Brewer. And I asked him about like what CRMs he was using. He spent a ton of money. I don't know why I edited out shit considering I swear the whole time. He spent a shit ton of money on his custom CRM setup. But you know what? And I dig Eric for that. I don't really know him that well, but just talking to him a couple times, he's that type of personality who wants it the way he wants it. And he was willing to put his money where his mouth is. And he went out and hired people to create what he wanted the way he wanted it. And so you have that option too, all the people out there. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. I love it.
Well, your mom will definitely be happy that you held yourself back there from one potential cuss word.
I know. She did I tell you guys that I told her I swear because people in the real estate industry swear all the time, and I didn't swear in the corporate world, but as I've gotten into real estate and working with construction guys, I just swear obscenely. And my mom's like, you need to stop that. That's not how you were raised. And I was like, Mom, everyone in real estate swears. Did this podcast. I got a call. My mom said, Brandon, you lied to me. She goes, John and Carlos never swear on the show. It's only you swearing. So you lied to me. You don't need to swear. So stop swearing. Hilarious. That's not how you were raised. So thanks, guys. You definitely
you're welcome. You're welcome.
You can tell her the same line. You either die the hero or live long enough to see yourself become a villain.
I want that in one of those like highlighted neon signs behind me. I feel like that is perfect.
The Christian Bale Batmans are so good. Easily top 10. If I could put the trilogy into a milli.
Ben Affleck, worst Batman ever. I don't know why we go.
I don't even know if I saw that.
I don't know. I what's that guy's name? Pretty boy.
Robert Pattinson?
No. I did not like him as Batman, but I didn't think it was that horrible.
Michael Keaton was the other good Batman.
God, George Clooney. George Clooney, worst Batman.
He was all right. He was all right. Batman movie was bad, but I mean,
I was like your son's age watching those, so those have like a little bit of a sentimental heart. With Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Christian Bale Batmans are the only Batmans. Christian Bale, hands down, next to Johnny Depp, one of the best actors of our generation. They don't get enough credit. Johnny Depp doesn't get enough credit, but Christian Bale,
Oh yeah, no.
God, he is phenomenal.
Yeah, he's amazing.
What
what
was
he
he?
does.
He was the villain in a recent Avenger movie. Was it the Doctor Strange, the newest Doctor Strange?
I don't
And
know.
you
I
couldn't
haven't
even
seen any of the
recognize
Doctor
it was
Strange.
him. I was like, I feel like that's
Jeez.
Christian Bale. He did a phenomenal job.
Phenomenal job, man.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. But Thanksgiving, I plan on watching football. I'm pretty sure my fantasy season is over.
Mm.
The one thing I will never teach a course on or try to talk about is
It's
advice
fantasy
on
football.
fantasy because I fucking suck. It's like every decision I make, I took out a linebacker because I was like,
Yeah.
you know what, I'm going to put this other linebacker in. Had I have not changed that linebacker lineup,
Yeah.
I would have won because he scored 11 more points than the guy I put in, and I lost by like 10 point something points. So
Oh
I
my
would,
God.
and that's happened to me for like 4 weeks of the last like month or two of the games. I now have a 2-8 record. We only have like 6 more games or whatever, 4 more games. I don't think there's any way
You got to get him a roll here.
I'm not making the playoffs. I am only now here to fuck up others people's chances to get into the playoffs. I do not want them to have an easy victory. I will hold the line like the Spartans, and I will hold until I am completely decimated, and I will at least help somebody else who deserves to go. I will hold the line. I will hold the line.
Oh my God.
But I'll be watching football tomorrow. I have my Fubo TV, Fubo.tv. I unhappily pay $100 a month for that. I will be watching that.
Love that.
I will be with a bunch of family, and maybe we'll have the football on. Not a big football guy.
I forget.
Maybe.
I'm probably going to have, I mean, I'm watching the Ravens game Sunday. That's like my priority for NFL. I quit fantasy years ago for reasons Papa P is giving. I couldn't deal with it anymore. So I probably haven't done fantasy in close to a decade, but yeah, I'll be watching.
I love fantasy football, dude.
It is cool. It is cool. And I talk to my friends that still do it, so I'm still kind of within the earshot of it. But I'll have some World Cup on for sure. Friday,
Yeah,
John, don't have any bad blood here, but Friday is a huge game, England versus USA at 2:00. So I'll have
no, I know. I'll be watching that one.
that on Friday. Sunday, I think there's a game too. I forget. I have to look at the World Cup schedule. But yeah, we watching that, hanging with the family.
I don't feel like John should celebrate Thanksgiving because he's British. We talked about
my
this
other
earlier.
half
I
of
was
the
like,
family is American, so sorry.
I just feel like there should be some sort of feeling about him celebrating Thanksgiving when we were, I don't know. Maybe if you were like Native American, that would be fucked up then because
We gave you guys the supplies, and you made it over
Yeah.
here, and
No, it was Spain who gave Columbus the supplies, correct?
My family did that?
Thanksgiving is not about Columbus. Go check your history, buddy. The Mayflower, the
Oh, John's
Santa
dropping a
Maria,
Google.
and the what's
When
the
John-
third one?
Who's that?
When
Who's that? Am I
I'm
wrong
naming
on
the,
this?
I'm naming the 3 ships that went to
Santa
What is it,
Maria, the
Plymouth?
Pinta, the Nina, the
the
Pinta,
Nina,
the
the
Santa
Pinta,
Maria.
the Santa
Santa?
Maria. Yeah, the 3 ones that went to Plymouth.
What's the Mayflower?
That's in there too. Hold on.
Oh, you're gonna Google it? Okay. I don't know, guys. I don't know my history. Oh, we're all Googling now. This is embarrassing.
Today is the Pilgrims.
Anyway, while we're researching that, I just wanted to say that's what we'll be doing. Also, Pulse of the Week. My man Elon is getting thoroughly ripped apart. People are saying they're getting off of Twitter. I don't believe it. My man
all gonna
Elon's
be
bringing
fine.
back Vine. You just wait till he brings Vine back.
It's gonna be
People
fun to
are
watch and
racing
look
back.
back on.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna enjoy it.
All right. Well, happy.
Well, guys,
Thanksgiving.
have a great Thanksgiving. All of our viewers a great Thanksgiving, or had a great Thanksgiving, because we're recording this before Thanksgiving, and you're watching it on Friday. So I hope you had a great time yesterday. Hope the football team you wanted to win won. There we go.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week in December. We'll see you in December.
Lock and load.